Scentland, the land of scent. Hello and welcome. It's Chris back with yet another fragrance review coming to you straight from the car, and that has a reason. Fragrance I'm going to be reviewing today is released by the house of Marbert, Germany, and it's called Marbert Homme. It has been released in 1988. This is not Marbert Man, the classic Marbert Man. This is a release called Homme, which obviously in French means man, okay? But coming out in 1988, this is a later release than the original classic Marbert Man, right? So I'm just telling this not to confuse this fragrance with the other one from Marbert. Now the reason we are sitting in the car today, or you are sitting in the car today with me together, is that, let's start at the beginning. I was born in Germany. This fragrance has a special place in my heart. I was born in Germany. I was raised there. I spent more than the first 10 years of my life there before moving. And so Germany has a special place in my heart, and especially those times in Germany were different than they are now today. I'm not saying that it's any worse or any better. It was just different, okay? But already at the time, in that time particularly, the slogan "Made in Germmany" was something that meant a certain way of, to me it meant a certain way of living and a certain way of quality, a very, very reliable level of quality level. And this fragrance, Marbert Homme, totally embodies that. Released in 1988, obviously when Germany was still, only the western part that we knew at the time, and we know now as, the western part of Germany before reuniting with the eastern part, getting out of this somehow. It was, it had so many special vibes and moods and things going on that are so typically German to me, like the Deutsche Mark, yeah, and the crime series Derrick, and Sarotti chocolate, and many things that are to me so German, currywurst with pommes and mayo, and all these things that were made in Germany. Obviously the cars as well, although this is a Swedish one. Anyway, so made in Germany. Why am I saying this instead of describing the ingredients of the fragrance? Because this fragrance is totally reminding me of that mood, the made in Germany mood. And actually, this is the 1988 original vintage release, and this is the current version that is still available. It's still available today. This is much nicer looking, to be honest, like this one. And there is a difference between the vintage and the new one. Interestingly, the vintage starts off differently and ends differently, but the mid notes, the mid part, the middle part, the most prominent part of the fragrance remains the same. This new one here starts, obviously it's a victim of reformulation, but not necessarily always in a bad way. In general, the fragrance, both fragrances start in a very aromatic way, right? They're aromatic and woody and spicy and green. The vintage one is a bit more lush, a bit more oak mossy, a bit more piney, while the new one, the reformulated one, is more musky to me, at least. But after the top notes fade, both fragrances are the same, totally the same. It's this aromatic, typically 80s, in a good way, typically aromatic, woody, musky, spicy fragrance, okay? Both of them are the same in the mid part, and then the dry down, this goes into a sort of a lighter woody base, the vintage one, while the new one remains and projects this aromatic woody spiciness throughout the whole dry down. And actually, surprisingly, the new one, or the reformulated one, the plus tax, this bottle, okay, getting over the bloody word, I hate the word anyway, reformulation, okay, so the new release, or the newer release, I'm getting there, son of a bitch, is lasting longer, projecting stronger. No, it's almost like a poem. It's lasting longer, projecting stronger all the way. Yes, so surprise, surprise. The only difference here is that the top notes and the bass notes differ. And while the heart of the fragrance is the exact same with both releases. And so how does it smell apart from me describing it being musky and woody and spicy? It smells, and buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because it smells like, and this is why I've been mentioning Germany and the made in Germany phenomenon, the quality level made in Germany, because it smells like you're sitting in a German made car in 1988 when this was released. Let's say it's an Audi 100, Audi Avant, I think it was called at the time. It's new, and you're sitting in there and driving this made in Germany car at the end of the 80s. This is how this smells, like a car interior of a new German car, made in Germany car in 1988. Then you maybe stop at a gas station. It's all that. It's maybe a little bit nostalgic for me, but Marbert Homme totally embodies the vibe of the late 80s in Germany, the late 80s made in Germany quality level. And it maintains, even though the bottle is not really pretty at this stage, I'm very grateful to Marbert that they kept it at least alive. This is much nicer. This is much nicer, built-in spray. This has a cap, by the way, I'm just missing it, but this is built in. So this, obviously the old one is much nicer than this one, but at least they kept it alive. It changed a little bit in regards to the top and the dry down, but the heart of the fragrance remains the exact same. And that's the best part of the fragrance, and that's the most prominent part of the fragrance. And a good surprise, again, as I mentioned, that the new one, the reformulated one, love the word, it's a great word, is longer lasting, therefore better performing. Now, age group, this is nothing for teens, right? Not even guys in their 20s. I think this is just for weirdo mid-age guys like me, who maybe originate in Germany and like to smell old things of the old days, right? Because this is really how it smells. There's nothing modern about it. Obviously, like a German Audi Avant or Audi 100 is not modern anymore by any means today, but still, it was a great car at the time. And since a fragrance is not subject to mechanical failure, this is still functioning very well. So I'm very happy to use it, especially when I'm in my nostalgic moods. But it's just a refreshing in an 80s way as well. It's never stuffy, it's never cloying, it's never pushing. So in that regard, it's much better than the usual 80s fragrances that are sometimes overbearingly heavy and they sit on your shoulder and they drag you down. This never drags you down. This lifts you up in a very positive way. So Marbert Homme from 1988 is a fantastic representative of the late 80s German fragrance manufacturing. So viva Marbert Homme. And I'm driving home to the family, right? I managed to pull this review through without bumping into anybody else. I put these back because the sun is keeps hitting me. Today I have a twist of a tongue, I think, you know. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching. This was Chris from Scentland, and I'll be back with more. Cheers.